Welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You're here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarlane. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice long weekend, just over with.
It is.
Hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend, wherever you may be.
We did. I am in Kentucky at Kentucky Lake and got to do a little boating, a little skiing, water skiing. I have my my boat hairstyle for later today. I kind of look like I don't know. It makes me look very old, but anyway, it is what it is. So it works well with a hat when I go back out on the water later this afternoon. So yeah,
Nice.
just working from this nice deck here. Oh, there we go. And kind of show the world. It's a beautiful little lake house here with some nice woods around me. So how about you? You look like you're somewhere different too.
Yeah, I'm in an undisclosed location right today. All I'll say is the weather is not so nice here. It is raining, or otherwise I would be doing the show from outside somewhere, and hopefully the rain will stop here pretty soon. But yeah, no, things are good. It's been a good weekend. I'm trying to figure out like what day it is. You know, those long weekends always get that way. Like, what day is it today? Yesterday I couldn't remember what day it was all day, and today I couldn't remember it either. But yeah, it's all good.
Well, and talking about days, and we didn't have anything, of course, planned. But I was at the store yesterday, kind of picking up a few things for this week. And have you seen? I mean, you'd think it's fall. Like you're clearly somewhere sunny. I'm somewhere sunny. I'm sort of pretending like it's summer. But yet I have some show and tell. Look what I found at the store.
Nice. Yeah. Is it like everything pumpkin now starting?
Everything pumpkin. Oops, let me get it there. Everything pumpkin. So yeah, everything is pumpkin spice. But I have to tell you, so my daughter picked this cereal out, and I'm not a huge mini wheat person. These are amazing. These are
all right.
amazing.
I'll have to try them. Yeah.
Like, I think to the point, we're gonna go buy them out.
I think I saw that the Starbucks, I haven't been in a Starbucks in a really, really long time, but I did hear they were bringing back the pumpkin spice lattes earlier than normal. And I think on one of the shows, it might have been one, I don't know if sometimes these shows blend together in my mind, Trish, but I know I had an item one day about Halloween, and the candy makers were trying to bring the Halloween candy forward to the stores because they're a little bit worried about Halloween as well. But yeah,
it is.
I know I'm not super excited about cold weather returning. I think I was thinking about it over the weekend, and I'm thinking like my next move may even be further south. Like I'm going to land up on the equator eventually.
I was just going to guess that. Are you you're moving to Panama or somewhere down there, right?
Maybe.
That's okay. That's all right. You know, whatever it takes. I agree. I don't know though. I love having 4 seasons, and living in the Midwest, you get 4 distinct seasons, which I love. But yeah, I'm enjoying the last little bit of summer-ish I can get out of myself. And
oh yeah, me too. I mean, it had been super hot up until just this afternoon when it started to rain where I'm at. And but yeah, hopefully, we'll cling to the summer weather as long as possible for sure.
Absolutely. No, so I was going to ask you. You mentioned last week, I think, that you had read a few books, right? You hadn't been reading for a while. Any new ones that you got this week? I know last week you kind of gave us a little mini book review.
Yeah, so I finished the Gladwell book, which was awesome. And so this week and through the weekend and into in fact, just when you messaged me right now, what I was literally doing was trying to read some of this book. But I'm trying to finish How Not to Be Wrong, The Power of Mathematical Thinking. And it's the book, Trish, you remember years ago, because I think you helped me or you saw one of the presentations where I used the example of the problem, the World War II problem of where to put the armor on the U.S. fighter planes, how much armor to put on the planes, right? And where to actually put the protective armor.
I saw you at Saba. You did that at a Saba event.
So that was a long time ago, right? That example is gleaned from an anecdote in that book. So that's how long ago I picked up that book and tried to start reading it. But that's a really awesome example. I love it. And I was reminded of it when I picked up the book again. But the book is so hard. It is really a kind of a hardcore math book, and math was never my strength. Yeah. The whole idea of this book was like, hey, this will help you think about the world a little bit differently, maybe make less mistakes and apply a little bit more logic and reasoning and mathematical principles to the things you encounter in the world. So it's equal parts really super interesting, like with the the example about where to put the armor on the planes. And other times it's so hard, like to the point where I'm not really understanding any of this. But the part I'm in now is the last part of the book, which is all about correlation. And it's something we just think about, we accept as just as part of our world, as part of our life, the idea that one variable can correlate to another variable, right? Sure. It may not, and we get that. So like the example of like how tall your parents were, that's pretty strongly correlated to how tall children become. It's not perfectly correlated, right? But it's correlated, and we just accept that as a thing. We just understand. Well, like some guy invented that. Like some guy created that idea. Like there was a time in our world, in our lives, it's not that long ago. It's like a couple hundred years ago where we didn't even know this. This was not a thing that was in existence. And maybe we thought about it, or we would have observed that taller parents tend to have taller children, but we wouldn't have understood it at all. We wouldn't have understood why. And we wouldn't have understood. Here's the other part that I just got through in this book, which is so interesting, that taller parents tend to have taller children. Okay. Right. But those children tend to be, on the whole now, whole, not as tall as their parents.
Really?
Yeah. And so vice versa, shorter parents tend to have shorter children, right?
Okay.
Makes sense.
Right.
But over time and in the aggregate, those children of the shorter parents tend to be taller than their parents, right?
Interesting.
So multiply that out by like,
right.
a billion kids born in a year, or however many kids are born in the world in a year. And so that makes sense. And here's the reason why, right? Because human beings are about as tall as we are. Like if human beings get taller over time, it's tiny little changes in the average height of a man or a woman over long periods of time. And that whole idea, that whole concept is another term I'm sure you've heard and you think about all the time in your life. It's called regression to the mean.
Yes.
And we just accept that that's a thing we live with. Well, again, like another guy had to figure that out and invent that. And the actual way that it was kind of the early data that proved that concept was that very example about the average height of parents and kids, like back in like 1800. So anyway, I give you a very long story to what book am I reading? But anyway, that's what this book is about. So I'm hoping, Trish, how can I find ways to use that kind of stuff in like what we do? I don't know, like for work or for life. I don't know. That's what I've been doing.
I don't know, but I'm sitting here thinking, as you're saying it, what I love about it is that not only are you not giving up on this book, right?
I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it.
My question for you is, so obviously, when you get a book like that, they can be very difficult. You don't want to give up on it, but I think I would find that challenging to read kind of cover to cover. Do you find yourself, because I do this, do you ever find yourself like reading material outside of what we would consider our normal industry kind of reading, things that would be more directly work related, more obviously work related, but yet maybe just picking at certain scenarios within a book? I do that. Yeah. I'll go in and just like dive into like one chapter or something and try and glean something, and then I might put it away for another year, and then I go back to it. I do that a lot with things around science, design, architecture, engineering, a lot of other fields. And so when you got to that last question for me, which was, like thinking about how to use this in work, I think that's a really good example though of sort of the way that you personally think about work, right? That you are drawing from, and here's the way you draw from these external sources that might seem less obvious, but become really important. Do you think much about that, or is this just something you've always done? I'm just curious how you get to that point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Trish, because like for years and years, I've tried to read, whether it's books or just websites or blogs or, other sources or podcasts even, of things like, I'll admit it really honestly, I don't read any HR blogs. I don't read most of what I don't consume that stuff that's directly in the wheelhouse of what we do, right? Maybe because I spent 10 years writing about it or more, and we spent a decade podcasting about it. And so I feel like I get my fill of it there, right? So what I'm trying to do to find ideas or to find inspiration, especially if we're trying to do creative things, right? Like we're creating a new webinar we're working on for our friends at Ceridian, like as we speak. Like when you're trying to find, when you're trying to find creative inspiration, I look for other things, like you said, design and architecture and science, and I look to some of those things too. And typography, I really like a lot. Graphic design, now I wouldn't have guessed I was interested in it, but I guess you could, like, how excited I got explaining that concept to you. Maybe I'm a math guy now, or maybe I'll become one.
And I think my point is, for anyone out there listening, is sometimes we get really stagnant because we do only listen to sort of that echo chamber of whatever industry you're in. And you're right. I don't read many HR blogs. When I was in HR, I did it all the time. And a lot of people wind up talking about the same things over and over. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just you have to start drawing from somewhere else. I'll tell you one thing. I draw a lot. Actually, I don't watch a lot of television unless I'm sort of captive somewhere. And I was on a flight. Yay, thank goodness, flying again the other day. And there wasn't a lot on, from a movie standpoint. Obviously, there hasn't been any big new blockbusters. The flights were always where I would catch up on those. So there was a show, maybe you've heard of, Steve Irwin, right?
Yeah, Crocodile Hunter.
Well, his children are now grown. I did not realize they still work at the Australia Zoo. In fact, it's expanded, and they're doing lots of things. They're huge environmentalists and doing great work over in Australia. But they have a show. Did you know that? His children and his wife have a show.
I did not know that.
It is called Crikey. It's the Irwins.
Nice.
Now, I'm like, what am I going to do? I was working on our presentation for Ceridian, actually, like you said, and I thought I'll have this on in the background. It was a really interesting show. I mean, the son is out there and he's capturing the crocodiles to move them to their new, enclosure. And what caught my attention more, though, was the mom was working with the person who's in charge of all the koalas, and they needed to mate this male koala. So they were trying with different females. Now, I will not go into any detail about how that all works. And I had no idea how that all works. But what I will say, what I thought was then applicable back to work was, here was a situation. Obviously, they're trying to, accomplish this feat in a certain amount of time, right? They've got a tight deadline on when this can happen. And they tried 3 or 4 different methods and ways and approaches over like a 30-day period to make this happen. And they were ultimately successful. And I just think about, like, when I hear a story like that, when I see a story like that, I then can apply it back to the way that we're working, right? And so when you think about the presentation we're getting ready to give, and I did just tweet the link out to the registration, the free registration, right before we recorded this or went live with this. A lot of it is we're talking about how to move away from hiring for a role, hiring a person for a role, and instead, our contention is that we think you should hire for skills that the organization needs long term. That's really kind of the gist of it. And so just this morning, I was watching a whole recruiting chat talking about hiring for the role and how to hire that way. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, you've got to try something different, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so my inspiration for what we'll hear in the presentation will come from koala mating.
That's great. And I'm going to work on it some more the next couple of days. I'm going to work in one of these math examples.
I think you should.
Into my portion. I'll figure it out.
We're putting zoology and math theory together to bring you hiring for skills, right?
All right.
All right. Well, listen, thanks everyone for listening, joining us, spending a little bit of your day with us. We love it every single day, and hope you had a good weekend. And Steve and I will see you back here tomorrow.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.